The PS Portal has to be one of the biggest disappointments in gaming history. I mean, people were expecting another PSP, basically a portable PlayStation that you could take anywhere and play a lot of good PlayStation games on it. But instead, we got a glorified remote play device that you can't even use in most places because it doesn't have a built-in browser in order to sign agreements and stuff like that for public Wi-Fi. You need to have a PS5 for it, and it has really noticeable input lag. It was a massive letdown. But what does IGN think of it? They literally think it's better than the Steam Deck. Now, I did a live stream reaction to this review by IGN, and it was pretty entertaining to say the least. I definitely did not expect them to give it the score they gave it.
Handheld, or has to compete for the household TV.
If the fact that they gave this an 8 out of 10 isn't bad enough, consider the fact that they gave the Steam Deck, the original Steam Deck, a 7 out of 10. They literally think that this thing is better than the Steam Deck. Yeah, I'm literally not even making this up. IGN thinks the device that you need Wi-Fi to use, need a PS5 to use, can't use on most internets because of agreements and stuff you have to sign for public Wi-Fi, does not have a built-in desktop that allows you to do other things besides gaming, does not allow you to mod your games. They think that that is better than the device that you can play anywhere, anytime, you don't need anything extra to set it up. It allows you to mod all your games, it allows you to play your own games actually on the device and not just stream it. It allows you to use a built-in desktop so you can even Photoshop and things like that. But no, according to IGN, the glorified remote play device is the better of the two. And even in IGN's own review, they're pointing out problems with this thing, but they still give it an 8 out of 10. And when I say problems, I mean massive problems. Anyway, let's just jump into the dumpster fire.
I did not think for a second I was going to be impressed by the PlayStation Portal.
Be honest with me, the only thing that you found impressive was the check that Sony was going to cut you if you gave this thing an 8 out of 10.
Sony's small screen remote play solution for the PS5, with remote play already working great on tablets and phones, and controller solutions like the Backbone designed specifically for playing console games remotely. The Portal seems like a solution to a problem no one had.
Yeah, a better solution would be to get the Backbone controller so it just holds your phone in place while you use the controller and basically play it like a PlayStation Portal, but instead of paying like $200 for it, you pay like $20. I just don't understand the purpose of this thing. It is utterly fucking pointless.
Why spend $200 on a single-purpose device when there are much cheaper solutions already available? And yet, after spending time with the PlayStation Portal, I gotta say, this thing rules.
Hey y'all, come look at this.
This thing rules.
It rules so much that for the rest of this video, he's going to be pointing out massive problems with it. I mean, he literally points out that you can't use it on most public Wi-Fis because it does not have a built-in internet browser in order for you to sign agreements to use public Wi-Fi.
This thing rules. That's not to say I wouldn't change anything about it. In fact, it has some missing features that make me scratch my head, but initial skepticism has been replaced by enthusiasm.
Alright then, we're already 3.5 minutes into this video and we haven't even got started with his review yet. This is gonna be a good one, dude.
First off, when it comes to the just use your phone argument against the Portal, that disintegrates once you see the screen. Now, it's not OLED, which is a bummer, but it's an extremely high quality 8-inch LCD screen. That is much bigger than my iPhone 13 Pro Max, and it really looks fantastic. Colors are extremely vivid and absolutely pop.
It does have a nice looking screen, I will give it that. However, there are devices out there that can do so much more than this thing, infinitely more than this thing, that also have an OLED screen on top of that. Just look at things like the Nintendo Switch OLED and the Steam Deck OLED.
Everything just looks crisp and alive on the screen, and I really do prefer it over using remote play on my phone. On the opposite extreme, if you use remote play on a full-size tablet, yes, you get a bigger screen. That might be the best way to strike the perfect balance between portability and screen real estate, but you still have to supply a controller, which, given the fact that you clearly own a PS5, probably not that big of a deal.
Yeah, you can just see he's doing everything in his power to try to make the PlayStation Portal look like something that needs to exist when it absolutely just doesn't. Of course you're gonna have a PS5 controller if you have a PS5.
Break. Since it is so much lighter than I was anticipating and the screen is really bright, I wasn't expecting much from the battery life. If the notoriously short-lived DualSense is anything to go by, it was never going to be amazing. I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, Astro's Playroom, and Spider-Man 2, swapping between them over the course of my battery test without ever shutting down the portal, and I got 4.5 hours of use with the brightness turned to 100% and the volume at around 50%. The Nintendo Switch OLED gets roughly the same battery life under ideal conditions, and the Portal easily beats the Steam Deck, which often struggles to hit 2 hours.
The Nintendo Switch OLED has similar battery life, but can also do infinitely more things. It actually runs games on it instead of just streaming from an internet connection. 4 hours of battery life running video games is much different than 4 hours of battery life streaming a screen from network connection. As for the Steam Deck, it depends on the game you play. Like Dark Souls 2, for example, can give you like 8 hours of playtime. Also, you can customize graphic settings depending on how much battery life you need. Easily beats the Steam Deck my ass.
However, both of those devices are doing much heavier lifting than the Portal, which isn't doing any major graphical processing.
So why bring it up? Well, I'll answer that question. He needs to find something, anything, to make the PS Portal look like it has a reason to exist.
As has been pointed out many times, the PlayStation Portal shortens to PSP, which is an initialism shared by Sony's first dedicated handheld gaming device that came out way back in 2005. Old.
Now that you bring up the PSP, let's talk about the PSP. For near the similar price, you could get a device that looked a lot like the PlayStation Portal that can play your games anywhere with no internet connection required. You didn't need to own a PlayStation or anything like that. You could play music on it. You could do so much more than you can on the PlayStation Portal almost 20 years later.
But the Portal is definitely not a shot across Nintendo's bow, because the Portal only plays games via remote play, so it's not like you can play it on the go. There's no version with a cellular connection, or without also owning a PlayStation 5. There is literally nothing else it can do.
But do you know what device can do those things that you just mentioned that the PlayStation Portal can't do? Oh yeah, the Steam Deck, the Nintendo Switch, which by the way, you gave the PlayStation Portal a higher review score than you did the Steam Deck, so what's up with that? Also, the PlayStation Portable that came out in 2005, almost 20 years ago, can do all those things that you just mentioned that the PlayStation Portal can't do.
That seems like a bit of a bummer given the $200 price tag. I'd have liked to at least be able to watch Netflix or YouTube on the Portal.
And guess what device you could use if you wanted to watch YouTube or Netflix? That's right, the Steam Deck. If you wanted to watch YouTube, you could use the Nintendo Switch.
But all media functions are disabled on Sony Remote Play.
But it deserves a higher review score than the Steam Deck though, right?
The PlayStation Portal will only play games and let you navigate PS5's menus, so without a PS5 at the ready, the Portal is a paperweight.
And guess which devices aren't paperweights if you don't have a $500 console? That's right, the Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch, and even the PlayStation Portable that came out almost 20 years ago that this thing is based on.
It's also completely bonkers that this thing doesn't have Bluetooth. If you want to listen to your games without everybody in the room hearing them along with you, you're going to need either a wired headset, which sucks, it's 2023, or you'll need one of Sony's proprietary PlayStation Link compatible headsets or earbuds, which also sucks. Add to the suckiness the fact that those earbuds and headset aren't even out yet. Hey, but don't worry. The earbuds come out December 6th. Oh wait, but do worry, because they cost $200 on their own.
So yeah, in order to hear your own game through a headset, you need to wait for Sony to drop some compatible earbuds that are $200. Whereas on the Steam Deck, once again, you can use something called Bluetooth and use whatever headset you wish, and you don't have to spend $200. on a pair of fucking earbuds. But once again, apparently the PlayStation Portal is the better device. I mean, you're basically getting scammed here, dude. You already have to buy a PS5 to use this thing, so that's like $700 in total. Then, if you want to actually listen to your audio, you gotta spend another $200 for a Sony Bluetooth device.
Plus, Bluetooth is super cheap and it's in everything. My shoe has Bluetooth. It's made all the more frustrating by the fact that the single worst part of the Portal is its built-in speakers. They sound flaccid and underpowered with little in the way of audio range. I do appreciate they are stereo speakers, and in games that use stereo effects, it is actually noticeable. But otherwise, the sound is really underwhelming, and at full volume, it sounds blown out.
So just yet again, another feature missing from the PlayStation Portal. Like, how can you seriously give this thing an 8 out of 10 when in your video reviewing it, you're constantly pointing out issue after issue after issue after issue? Dude, be real. They paid you to say 8 out of 10. Just be fucking honest with us here.
My phone's speaker sounds better, and hey, I can pair my phone to my Bluetooth headset.
Yeah, you're right. I could go out and buy a backbone controller so that I can remote play on my phone and have it held together, and get better audio quality, and get Bluetooth, instead of buying this overpriced piece of shit.
If you've used Remote Play before, you know the single biggest bottleneck in performance is the quality of your Wi-Fi signal. I have a decent Wi-Fi router, yes, it's the one provided by my ISP, okay? And never once did the signal drop out while using the Portal in my living room. However, in both Spider-Man and NHL, there was a noticeable drop in frame rate in moments where the action got really fast, although it was very brief.
Yet again, another problem that is only present on the PlayStation Portal and is not present on the Steam Deck, Nintendo Switch, or any other portable device, even the PSP 20 years ago. It's like every time you want to say something positive about this thing, there's a negative waiting right behind it.
Occasionally, I'd spot the resolution drop down for a tick or two, but again, that was only during the fastest and most heated parts of the games. The only time the stream really struggled was when I was downloading a game.
To be honest, I'm not gonna fault the PlayStation Portal on this. This is understandable 100%.
Moving away from the router to my bedroom, where I have less than stellar Wi-Fi coverage, the problem got pretty bad. It was no fault of the Portal, it was wholly because I haven't set up enough access points to give it a good enough signal.
See, and once again, another problem with the PlayStation Portal that no other portable device has. Like, we had the Game Boy back in 1990-something that didn't have this fucking problem. I mean, this device just takes everything I loved about the PlayStation Portable. Amazing device, by the way. It takes everything I loved about that device and just fucking removes it. I like the fact that it could play its own games. Can't do that anymore. I like the fact that you could play it anywhere, anytime. Can't do that anymore. I like the fact that you could put other forms of media on it. Can't do that anymore. I mean, it's just a step back in every single way from the predecessor 20 years ago.
At this point, I had switched to playing Final Fantasy VII Remake exclusively, and there were occasions when the streaming buffer was working so hard, the resolution drop made text completely unreadable. The moral of the story is that if you're planning on getting a PlayStation Portal,
then don't.
You should make sure your household Wi-Fi coverage is in top form anywhere you're gonna want to play it.
I don't know, man. That just seems like a massive waste of fucking money at this point. Like $200 for a device that you can't play your games anywhere you want to go. You can't listen to music or anything like that on it. You can't use on a lot of public Wi-Fis because it won't let you sign agreements. You can't use Bluetooth. It's a step back in every single way from a device 20 fucking years ago for near the same price. It's not worth it at all.
Sony also recommends you have a 15 megabits per second or greater connection for best results.
And I recommend you keep the receipt so you can bring it back.
But the minimum requirement is 5 megabits per second. After establishing the Portal works great in most of my house, I packed it up and took it to Dunkin' Donuts, which as a New Englander, I am required by law to visit at least once per month. I'd hoped to test its performance on public Wi-Fi, but this was a total bust. Dunkin', like many chains, airports, libraries, hotels, and other locations offering guest Wi-Fi, requires you to visit a website and acknowledge its terms of service before allowing you onto their network. And the Portal has no web browser to allow such an interaction.
Now this was the most shocking thing to me. This was the most fucking shocking thing to me. Yeah, that's right. If you go to a place where you need to sign an agreement to use public Wi-Fi, and you want to use your PlayStation Portal, you can't. Guess what you would be able to do that on, though? A phone with remote play. You'd be able to do that with your Backbone controller phone, but you can't with the PlayStation Portal. Holy shit, dude. Like, how are you gonna seriously give this thing an 8 out of 10 when you're fucking mentioning that you can't use it on a lot of public Wi-Fis? Seriously, you must have been paid to say this. There is no fucking way. Once again, I'm gonna mention the other handheld devices out there. You can take a Steam Deck wherever you want to go, and you don't need Wi-Fi at all to use that, by the way. Same with the Nintendo Switch. But even if you did have the Nintendo Switch or Steam Deck OLED, you can connect to Wi-Fi because those have built-in internet browsers that you can sign agreements on.
However, one of the locally owned coffee shops in my town has free Wi-Fi with no such requirements, so I took the Portal in for a cup of coffee to see if it worked as advertised. Getting on their Wi-Fi was easy, but connecting to my console back home took long enough that I was worried it wasn't going to work. But once it did, it worked incredibly well. In fact, it worked almost as well as it does at my house. This was the turning point for me, where I went from, well, this is kind of neat, to this is actually rad.
A device that's inferior to its predecessor 20 years ago that is outclassed by every single portable device on the market? Fucking rad, dude. Not being able to use my device if the public Wi-Fi that I'm on has a user agreement? Rad, dude. This is rad. Input lag? Rad, dude. Not being able to play games offline? Rad, dude.
This is actually rad! The PlayStation Portal is the most surprising device I've ever come away from loving after going in loaded with skepticism. It's such a better experience than using your phone with a slap-on controller, and it works so much better than I was anticipating.
Yeah, it works much better than your phone. That is, unless the Wi-Fi you're using has an agreement that you have to sign, then you can't use it at all. But, you know, it's better than the phone, am I right? I like how you're saying that this thing is awesome, but this entire video that you made, you were saying negative after negative after negative after negative thing about it. But you're still trying so hard to stay positive. Just tell the truth, man. You wanted to give it a 4 out of 10, just be honest.
I really love the freedom it gives me to play my PS5 from anywhere with decent Wi-Fi coverage.
You love the freedom it gives you. That has to be a joke. That has to be a joke, dude. It is the most restrictive portable device I have ever seen in my life. The fuck do you mean, the freedom it gives you? That shit is about as free as North Korea.
Especially when the rest of my family was using the TV to, somewhat ironically, play Nintendo Switch.
Oh, I love this classic argument. I mean, people were using this argument since the goddamn Wii U came out. Oh, well, my family's using the TV, so I can use the little screen. Dude, just go buy a goddamn monitor down at Walmart for $200.
Bearing in mind that it's in no way a standalone device and 100% requires a PlayStation 5 to function at all, the biggest things keeping this Portal from being a truly amazing device are its current lack of a way to access Wi-Fi that requires a web browser to log in, and its lack of Bluetooth support for audio. For now, though, it is a great device that represents the best current solution for PlayStation Remote Play, and if it weren't for those two baffling caveats, I'd call this a must-own device for every PS5 owner who enjoys playing games on handheld.
Yeah, no, stop shilling. If you want a good handheld and you enjoy playing games, and you want to be able to take your games anywhere, by the way, which the PlayStation Portal cannot do, buy the Steam Deck, buy the Nintendo Switch, buy the ROG Ally, buy the Lenovo, whatever it's called. Buy those, because you can play your games anywhere on those devices, and you can actually play games on the devices themselves, as well as watch media and stuff like that. Do not buy the PlayStation Portal, dude. I mean, I am serious. Do not buy that shit.
Or has to compete for the household TV.
Yeah, they listed off all of those problems. Just problem after problem after problem after problem. And then, 8 out of 10. Holy shit, dude. They gave the Steam Deck a 7 out of 10. A device that is superior in literally every single way imaginable. This is pretty much all I can handle of this. I'm gonna hop out of here. Peace.